Hey folks, it's Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. And this time reviewing a film that was sent to me by Till from Germany. I believe Scream Factory's actually come out with a Blu-ray of this, but to be honest, I'm fine with this as well. I'm fine with the DVD I have, again, thanks to Till from Germany. And that's of the 1982 film, which was a little interesting type of flick called Cat People. Now, Cat People, as you see, it stars Nastassja Kinski, Malcolm McDowell. You also have John Hurd, Annette O'Toole, Ed Begley Jr. You have John Larroquette for about 30 seconds. Now, this is directed by Paul Schrader. Now, did he write this film as well? No, written by DeWitt Bodeen and Alan Ormsby. Alan Ormsby. Why does that name sound familiar? Alan Ormsby. Alan Ormsby wrote... Let's see. What else did he write? Ormsby. My Bodyguard. Porky's 2 the Next Day. He co-wrote The Substitute in 1996. Interesting. And Paul Schrader, who directed this, is the same guy who wrote Taxi Driver. I think he helped write Rolling Thunder. He helped write, at least. He directed a film called Blue Collar, which I believe has Richard Pryor in it. He directed Hardcore with George C. Scott. I believe he did American Gigolo. He helped write Raging Bull. He wrote The Last Temptation of Christ. He directed, I believe, Light of Day with Michael J. Fox, which that's one I have not seen of Michael J. Fox. He did that Dominion prequel to The Exorcist before they said, fuck it, this movie sucks. That's what they said, and then they got Rennie Harlan to redo the film. And Nastassja Kinski, I'm not really familiar with her work. I guess she was in a film called Paris, Texas, which I've heard of, but I haven't seen the film. And she's been in quite a few films, but not many of them I really know. Town and Country, I've heard of. I've heard of some of these movies. A film called Quarantine, but it's not the one you think of. This is a TV movie with Harry Hamlin. Yeah, most of the movies I'm not really familiar that she's been in. So this, I could say this is probably the one most people remember her from, is Cat People. But Cat People, this is an interesting little film. I mean, it was released in 1982. That was the big time when you had E.T. Didn't you have Star Trek 2 around that time? John Carter's The Thing, which didn't do well. Blade Runner. You had a lot of films come out in 1982. I think Tron came out in 82. Conan the Barbarian, I think, came out in 82. I mean, it was a big year for movies. And Cat People, it's a remake, actually. This is actually a remake. But for what I understand, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the original. I believe it's from the 40s of Cat People. Don't know how much it's different or similar to the original film. But Cat People is definitely an interesting flick. I could definitely see at the end of the day, I like the film enough to have it on DVD. I thank Till for that. I didn't love the film, so it's not enough to want the Blu-ray of it or anything, but I'm fine with the DVD of this. It starts out very weird where you have these skulls. So weird, I'm coughing up a lung. So you have these skulls and red sand, this girl tied up for like a sacrifice for this black leopard. But then like she's kind of free. It looked like the black... Now, maybe I didn't understand what the hell was going on, but it looked like the black leopard attacked her. But then, I swear she was let go... Then she was let go, and then she walked into a cave, and there's the black leopard again. So I'm like, did the black leopard eat the girl? Is this a different girl? And I didn't notice it was a different girl. That whole opening kind of confused me. I'll admit. I'm an idiot. Fuck it. I admitted it. But the real story begins where Malcolm McDowell, who was in Rob Zombie's Halloween, Clockwork Orange, many other films, he's the older brother of Nastassja Kinski, who he meets her at the airport, brings her home. Their parents are dead. Apparently the parents were animal trainers. Malcolm McDowell welcomes her to his place and says that he's going to help her find a job. But then strange things start happening, like she's sleeping, and Malcolm McDowell actually goes onto her bed and perches like a cat looking at her. Um, then you have this hooker who actually gets attacked by a black leopard, and her ankle gets fucked up. And then these not animal rights, but pretty much people from the zoo and such have to come by and try to stop this black leopard who's in this, well, massage parlor type of thing. Anyway, a place for hooker to meet some fun, so to speak. And the three from the zoo is John Hurd, who I enjoy John Hurd from Home Alone and Chud. I remember him from Chud a lot. I just say I like Chud better than this. But I do like the film. Annette O'Toole, who was in Smallville. She was in Superman 3. She's been quite a few films. Ed Begley Jr. as well. And pretty much John Hurd and them are trying to figure out how to get this black leopard. John Hurd is outside of a window and it actually hits the window and almost knocks John Hurd off the damn ladder. But he's able to get his gun and knock him out with darts. And then again, for about 30 seconds or so, you have John Larroquette. John Larroquette from Night Court, the narrator from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's in there for like 30 seconds or so. Like, oh, there's John Larroquette. Pretty much long enough to go, hey, you should kill this thing. And John Hurd's like, listen, I know we're underfunded. I know we do this and that, but I'm not going to just kill an animal. Because, he works at a Jew. Works at a Jew. The hell, I'm out of it. Fuck. He works at a zoo, not a Jew. This is why you shouldn't do reviews at 1:20 a.m. because you start saying stupid shit like that. But I'm not gonna redo it because I fucked up. That's what I do. It was at a zoo. I don't know how you could work at a Jew. Must be one of those racist places that I've heard that's around the redneck area. He works at a zoo. And pretty much, long story short, Nastassja Kinski, she is sort of has this pull to go towards the zoo, and she's drawing. And then John Hurd, when he's closing up, sees her, chases after her, takes her ultimately to dinner with oysters, and they have sort of started a bond. And he offers her a job at the zoo at the gift shop. Ed Begley Jr., he's not in the film too much, but when he's there, I like him. He has like a little fun moment where he's feeding the animals, and he goes in and he feeds his orangutan who's watching soap operas, and he sort of watches soap operas with them. But then ultimately his part comes to an end because there's this cat, the black leopard they caught, and he's feeding it, and it's going apeshit. It's going absolute apeshit. So he has to use a cattle prod. But ultimately it grabs his arm and ultimately tears his fucking arm off. And he pretty much dead because he tore his fucking arm off. It's pretty gory. That moment's pretty gory. Which like, oh shit, just tore his arm off. Oh. And then John Hurd and the Annette O'Toole are now ready to kill it, but then now it's gone. Which I guess the whole thing with the cat people, I'm not really 100% sure, but I thought that they have sex, they turn into a leopard, the black leopard, but then, like Malcolm McDowell, how did he turn to a black leopard before the hooker? Like, did he have sex with a hooker before that we didn't see? And then this next hooker comes in and he attacks her? Or can he become... Because there's also a moment where he gets scratched, and then he turns to a black leopard. So can they turn to a black leopard whenever? But then I thought I heard in the dialogue that if you have sex, you turn to a black leopard. Or is that just not the only way you turn to a black leopard? See, I'm not 100% on the rules. Okay, I know that when you have sex, you turn to a black leopard. But I guess also if you get cut, or if you just feel like it. Because I thought, okay, the only way you can turn into it is if you have sex. But, Alan, if you find out that the Black Leopard was Malcolm McDowell, is what I'm getting at, as part of the cat people. So, if Malcolm McDowell turned his Black Leopard before the hooker was there, did he have sex before, or did he just do it by will? And I guess the only way they turn back into human is if by killing someone or eating someone. So then they become human again. So I guess he became human. He let himself out. They didn't notice. So now they think the Black Leopard is out. And of course, that's when Malcolm McDowell gets back into the house with Kinski. And even though it's her sister, he wants to fuck her, pretty much. So yeah, a little bit of incest thing going on. And then he tells that their mom and dad were brother and sister as well. Because I guess apparently they can fuck without turning into cats. I thought, yeah, that was kind of a weird idea. But ultimately, Kinski gets out of there, gets to a cop. When they release another, they find in the basement some remains of dead bodies. The police are looking for Dr. McDowell but can't find him. They also think they're looking for a Black Leopard. And of course, they can't find that. And ultimately, John Hurt takes her out to the woods, fishing for crabs. They have a bond going on. At the same time, Dr. McDowell meets this really sweet, good-looking blonde lady in a cemetery of all things. But it's one of those blonde girls who, like, and even her voice, like, "Oh, hey, I broke a nail." But at the same time, the actress who played her seemed very sweet, very innocent, even though she just gets into bed with this guy and you see her titties and everything hanging out. So I'm like, damn, I wish that girl was around here, like next door. But hey, a sweet voice and nice titties and blonde hair, I'm fine with that. But kind of a weird scene where she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry that you're not getting." She doesn't say that he's not getting hard, but you get the idea that he's not aroused. I guess because Malcolm McDowell's thinking of his own sister. And then you get the idea that she's actually filleting him, basically blowing his dick. You don't see it, thankfully, but you get the idea. Because I don't need to see Malcolm McDowell's dick. Thank you very much. Thank you for not subjecting us to that, Paul Schrader. Thank you. I owe you one, I guess. And then ultimately, the next day you find out that he turned to a fucking leopard and killed her. Which I'm like, ah, shit, a sweet lady with nice tits and nice voice, gone to waste. Fucking Malcolm McDowell, fucking jerk off. But, yeah, John Hurt and the girl, they're having a little bit of bond. And ultimately, one thing leads to another. He gets to Kinski and talks to her. She ultimately cuts Malcolm McDowell's hand. And that's when you get a little bit of a nice effect where you see it looks like claws coming out of his hand, and waits for John Hurt to get home. John Hurt and Ned O'Toole get there. And it's a nice shot where you see sort of with light and you barely see Malcolm McDowell. You see a little bit of him, and then in the same shot goes into the shadows and you just see his eyes like the eyes of a cat. And when it comes out of the shadow, it's a Black Leopard. So I thought the transition was well done. And pretty much I like first I like John Hurt as an actor, and I like him in this movie. And he has a little struggle with the Black Leopard, and Ned O'Toole kills its ass. And then later on, when they do this autopsy, John Hurt does his autopsy, he opens it up, and inside there's, of course, a person in there, Malcolm McDowell. Arm comes out, and then the whole thing dissolves. I thought some pretty good makeup effects. In fact, you have a sequence where she at first she sort of run off because of that, and she's not really sure what to do. Like, she gets on a bus, and she doesn't really know. She runs off and has this weird dream of Malcolm McDowell and who their people were. That's where you go back to, I guess, the beginning of the film. It's not exactly the beginning of the film, but the area we saw at the beginning of the film. Sort of like a dream physical state. And then, hey, if you want to see Ned O'Toole's titties, you got that too, because she's in the shower and she goes in the swimming pool, and you get the idea of Kinski stalking her. And Kinski goes to John Hurt, and you see Kinski's titties. So I'm like, all right, we got the blonde girl's titties, we got Annette O'Toole's titties, and we got Nastassja Kinski's titties. Titties all around. So that's a thumbs up for this movie. You got titties all around, nice titties, at least to me. Uh, um, but I also some good makeup effects, like this scene where after sex she changes, and you see that her face is changing more into a cat, and then her face splits open, and it's a black leopard. And you think it's going to kill John Hurt, but it runs off. And in a way, it's kind of weird because when Malcolm McDowell dies, there's still a half hour left of the movie. So to me, it's kind of like almost in a way the movie ended when Malcolm McDowell died because he was the bad guy. You could say. So it's like, okay, the bad guy's dead, and there's a half hour left of the movie. But that's because it's more of, okay, is Nastassja Kinski going to follow her brother's footsteps? Or is she going to do it? Uh, the cops and stuff get trapped the leopard on a bridge, and it jumps off. You find out that she killed someone, even though she didn't want to. And then John Hurt gets there, and she actually wants John Hurt to kill her. He's like, no. He's like, okay, then free me. Let me be. What the hell was the dialogue? Be with my own kind or something like that. And pretty much ties her up and has sex with her, and you pretty much at the end get the idea that Nastassja Kinski is now a black leopard full time in a zoo. And you get the idea that John Hurt is with Annette O'Toole, but he comes to visit that black leopard and feeds her, which I thought that was kind of a nice touch because the last time you try to feed a black leopard, it was Malcolm McDowell's black leopard, and Ed Begley Jr. got his arm torn off. And here it's like, oh shit, he's gonna feed this, but you get the difference where this black leopard actually takes the food willingly, lets John Hurt scratch her neck. So you see the difference between Malcolm McDowell, who tore her arm off, and here was willing to do it. Now, I know my friend Michael CP likes the song by David Bowie, the theme song by Cat People. I didn't care for the song. In a better day. I forget what the fuck this music was. What the fucking music was. I didn't like the song. I like David Bowie and Labyrinth, but I didn't like this. I just didn't like the song. The score was decent. The score by was it Giorgio Moroder, who did the score to Starface. I liked the score, but the song by David Bowie, I didn't care for the song by David Bowie, the theme. I can't remember what the fuck the song was. Special visual effects by Albert Whitlock. Okay, that's the guy who worked on John Carpenter's The Thing. And weirdly enough, this was executive produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Yes, Jerry Bruckheimer. That was, when I saw the opening credits, I did not expect that. I'm like, Jerry Bruckheimer? I mean, the film at the end of the day, it was said somewhere this is more like an erotic horror film or erotic thriller. More like an erotic horror film. Nastassja Kinski is hot. I like John Hurt. I like Annette O'Toole. I like the titties. When you saw the effects, I thought it was pretty good. The whole stuff with the metaphysical, with the beginning with the skulls and the red sand, this girl tied up with this black leopard. I'm like, is that the same girl who goes in the cave, or is this a different girl? Or what the fuck is this like the black leopard tie? That whole opening I didn't care for. Then later on when you revisit that, I didn't really care for that stuff. Just wasn't for me. I understand sometimes movies do this metaphysical shit like in Altered States, but I liked it in Altered States. I liked it in 2001, but I didn't really care for it in this instance. That was for me. Again, I didn't care for the David Bowie song. The movie kind of lost steam with me when Malcolm McDowell died, because that was sort of the story. That was the thread of the film. And I understand the last 30 minutes is about whether Nastassja Kinski changes or, well, whether she does it or not, but it was nice to see, hey, Annette O'Toole's titties, Kinski's titties, John Hurt I like, and I like the way the film ends. The last shot at the zoo and John Hurt pretty much putting Kinski's black leopard into the zoo. But it kind of, for me, lost a little bit of steam when the main bad guy died and there was still 30 minutes left of the film. Because the whole Nastassja Kinski struggling, it wasn't really the most interesting. Because she starts Annette O'Toole, but then pretty much the scene is, oh, okay. It really didn't add up to much. Because it's just Annette O'Toole got scared, and hey, we got to see O'Toole's titties. And then that's pretty much it. Then Kinski just goes to John Hurt, and they have sex. Uh, and then pretty much she's a leopard, but then she's on a bridge, and then she jumps off, and then John Hurt ties her up and has sex. It just really wasn't that thrilling, wasn't that exciting, other than the titties and the effect where she breaks her skin out. But other than that, the last 30 minutes was kind of, I thought, kind of sluggish, kind of, okay, the movie kind of dropped its load with a half hour left. It built up to, okay, Martin McDowell is our bad guy, and he's killing people, and then now two kills him, and then the movie kind of, okay, the last half hour is kind of, okay, now what? That was sort of, but overall, I liked the film. I thought the cast was pretty decent. I thought the little effects of the Kinski's face splitting open, you have the Black Leopard. The way they handled the Black Leopards is pretty well done. The animal trainers, I gotta give them credit. The Black Leopard is, beautiful looking animal, and you do buy that they tear, someone's arm off, and that was a nice effect too, tearing Ed Begley Jr.'s arm off. It's nice to see Annette O'Toole in there, as well as the titties. John Hurt, I really like John Hurt as an actor. It's nice to see him in these kind of films like this and Chud. But Chud, I just say, was more my type of film. Chud, I really did like. I would say more than this. But Cat People, still a good film. I can still say I like the film. Well done movie. So that's Cat People. Either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.